out. Down here in the front is the original charter of Atwater, DeMolay, chartered in 1929. So in 10 years, it spread clear across the country, both ways, north, south, east, and west, and become second only to the Boy Scouts of America, the largest organization for boys in the country. Well, I don't know any of the people that started the chapter here, because when I became a member in 1957, most of them were probably passed on. However, there is one individual here who is getting a pin tonight, who joined Atwater DeMolay 70 years ago next week. And his name is David Patterson, sitting over there in the corner. Possibly the oldest living member of the chapter. He might know a couple of others, but I certainly don't. I mean, he's going to be 107 next week, so he's going to be 90 or 87 pretty soon here in a couple of weeks. So the chapter flourished starting in 1929. If you remember, in October of that year, the world entered into a Great Depression. So getting boys to join was probably pretty tough, unless their dads had some money, because to join the DeMolay probably cost them $4 or $5, and to a 14-year-old kid, that might as well have been $1 million. Well, like I say, I joined in 1957, and there was a lot of older, by 2 or 3 years, guys that I got to know, guys that I got to respect very much, and possibly the best athlete that the chapter ever had is sitting with us tonight, and that's Ronnie Klein. He had a rifle of an arm for baseball, and he was a really fine basketball player. Many of those trophies that you see out there in our case, he was largely responsible for, at least as part of a team, getting for us. So I don't think there's ever been another athlete in the chapter to equal Ron. Big part of DeMolay is ritual. And the best ritualist I ever saw in the chapter is also with us tonight, and that's Danny Caroni. Wave your hand, Danny. This guy went through all the officers' chairs, worked in the DeMolay degree extensively in the hardest parts, and then for the next probably 12 years, he was the installing officer for all of the DeMolay installations. He had it by memory the first time he did it, and the last time that I saw him do it, it was flawless still. There was a great many of us from the chapter that went into law enforcement. Al Mullen, Doug Slocum, Harold Littlefield, remember Harold? He was a highway patrolman, at least for a while. I don't know what happened to him. Both the Wisenhunts, Tom and Tim, but the most distinguished, and we had another kid that was active there for a while called Eric Younger. He became a Superior Court judge, and his father was the Attorney General of California at one time, and a Mason. Well, by far I think the most distinguished member of Atwater DeMolay as far as his later life. Finally got here. He served on City College Board for years, served as a California State Assemblyman, and for 20-something years, he was supervisor of Los Angeles County, and that's Mike Antonovich. Welcome. We had a lot of other guys that did a great job. One thing that all of us that are here, former DeMolays, had in common from Atwater chapter, had in common was maybe the longest tenured chapter dad in the history of DeMolay. I don't know, but certainly in Southern California. That was Donald E. Harding, 48 years as chapter dad.
Hey.
Yeah.
Guild of the Leather Apron, too.
Huh?
Guild of the Leather Apron recipient.
Yeah. He was also a recipient of the Guild of the Leather Apron and Hiram Award recipient from the Lodge. But Don, molded a lot of young men and made Atwater DeMolay, I think, what it was. Of course, the people that were here, the boys that were here, they did all the work and took the credit for it, but he was the guy in the back that just made sure everything went smooth. We traveled up and down the state with him in basketball tournaments, had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with all of us. And then on the distaff side, we also have with us probably the, how shall I put this? The sweetheart of sweethearts. She did it 3 times. And one time was when I was master counselor. And that's Maddie Klein, sitting over there. Stand up, Maddie, you can't see you sitting down. We also have a couple of other sweethearts here from the chapter. We have Paula Harding. You're a sweetheart, right? Yes, you were. And Lori Mullen. Right there. So I think I've made enough introductions of my own. But the chapter was kind of unique. The lodge only charged them $60 a month in rent, and in January they gave the lodge the entire year's rent because we had a Christmas tree lot every year, and all these guys remember. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but we made a lot of money. And when the chapter kind of closed for a period of time, it had over $20,000, I think, still in the bank. And it sat there for several years, just collecting decent interest in those days. And it grew and grew and grew. And then some money was spent trying to revitalize DeMolay. Finally, it happened. And if you look on the back cover, you can see the names of all the current DeMolays in Atwater DeMolay. Now, they're not all super active, but our boys come from all over the county now. We've got, some of our members live in Azusa, some live in the west side, Carson, San Fernando Valley. So you'll look around and you'll see some of their fathers in here. You'll see the boys' fathers. So the chapter is, well, Freddie probably could give you a better idea of how the chapter's doing. And George and the other advisors. But Atwater chapter had a long, rich tradition. Athletically, they were overall maybe the best in the Southern California jurisdiction. If you look at that trophy case that's out there in the lounge, the one way over in the corner with a blonde wood on it, you can see some of the trophies that they won. Some of them have gotten broken, thrown away for whatever reason. But it is a great DeMolay chapter. And DeMolay is the finest organization for young men. Well, I'll say that the Boy Scouts are too. The two best there is anywhere in the world. And hopefully we'll grow some more. David, did I forget anything from your area?
No, I think you did a great job.
Okay, there were several other names that I recognize on here. A couple that were well behind me, but they couldn't make it for various reasons, mostly sickness and distress, illness. I know there's a big card sitting inside for Emmett Van Ness, who, as you know, has cancer and couldn't make it tonight. So Emmett was a special DeMolay to me, and a special Mason. He was my senior warden when I
Tell
was
them
master.
everybody's to sign this before they leave.
I'm gonna get to that.
Thank you.
Everybody, please sign that card before we leave, especially all of the DeMolays, senior DeMolays, members of the lodge. And with that, I hope that wasn't brief, but I didn't know how to get it all in otherwise. And so thank you all so much for being here and putting up with me.